It's the movie that Hollywood doesn't want you to see. Not because it exposes any Hollywood secrets, but because it's a terrible fucking movie that no one should have to pay for.
1982. John Belushi, the fabulous comedy star of TV's Saturday Night Live, Animal House, and The Blues Brothers, is dead at the age of 33. It's not just a story about the man, it's a story about America. Wired, the laughs and times of John Belushi.
The moral of Wired, the 1989 bio of John Belushi, is to just say no to drugs. Not because drugs are bad for you, but because if you die of drugs, some gutter snipe will come out and make a movie about you that pisses on and berates your corpse while filming sequences of a sushi chef cutting open your screaming body while a laugh track plays. Yeah, that happens. To say that a movie like Wired was doomed from the start is as big of an understatement as saying that the movie is only mildly tasteless. Based on the tell-all book by Bob Woodward, the book was discarded by friends and family of Belushi's as both sensationalized exploitation and one-sided, despite the fact that Woodward was asked to write the book by Belushi's manager Bernie Brillstein and his widow Judith. The latter was not given final approval before publication. Okay, I obviously didn't know John Belushi, so I can't attest to anything that's in the book. Also, I've never read the book, but I have seen the movie Wired, and you don't have to have known John Belushi personally to know the cinematic wrong that is this film. Made with no studio funding on a small budget, Wired is brought to us by FM Entertainment? Weird. Usually you have to go to AM Entertainment to hear something as batshit as this. The opening titles seem to be a little wired on something since they won't hold fucking still. The first scene sets a tone that isn't necessarily bad. It's Belushi leading the Killer Bees in a rendition of I'm the King Bee. And this looks a little less like Saturday Night Live and more like a dingy comedy club that someone snuck a camera into. But one thing you can kind of pick up here, no matter what else follows, is that Michael Chiklis will be the best thing about this film. He gets the manic energy right, the head movements, the bursts of comedy gibberish, and even the eyebrows. There are a lot of things that are so wrong with Wired. Michael Chiklis isn't one of them. Throughout this, you're waiting for the movie to go south, and believe me, it happens within seconds.
You know we should get for this movie? John Belushi.
Leo, he's dead.
I mean, I know everybody's made lousy movies. I mean, who hasn't made a stiff now and then?
Leo, you don't seem to understand me. John Belushi is really dead.
Okay, who is that talking, and why is the news of John Belushi's death being handled like a vaudeville routine? Spoiler, I guess? I suppose this lingering shot of Belushi's corpse, with the lightning in the background, should symbolize that no matter how great the talent, no matter how larger than life you are, it could all be taken away in a flash of light. What the fuck?
Where the hell am I?
I don't think that happened in real life. Who knew that the tragedy of Belushi's real life was just as hilarious as his movies?
Hey baby, won't you take a chance? Say that you'll let me have this dance. Listen.
Okay, I added that song in, but the fact that it kinda works for that scene is a point against that scene. Was the point to make John's afterlife a mirror image of his on-screen life? That's certainly an interesting way to take it, and I can't exactly call it unoriginal, but I can call it completely fucking tone-deaf. J.T. Walsh co-stars in the film as the book's author Bob Woodward, here talking to John's widow Judith, probably waking up from a nightmare that someone made a movie of John's corpse running around in a panic.
Judy, hi. Maybe you should talk to our entertainment editor.
Yeah, let's get Mario Lopez and Maria Menounos to ask what shoes John's body is wearing. But meanwhile, John's ghost is picked up in a cab, being driven by Italian Ray Sharkey, playing a Puerto Rican.
I know you, man. I know you. I seen your movie, man. Yeah?
Yeah, you should probably be watching any number of those movies than this one.
But I remember, man. That's right. Yeah? I remember you played a coke addict. Yeah. You was a funny guy, man. You was a funny guy. But you died in the end.
Get it? Because he died of a drug overdose. Who the fuck is this cab driver?
Who are you, anyway?
My friends call me Angel.
Really? Because according to the opening credits, they call you Velasquez. And yes, the framework here is that John Belushi is being driven around by his guardian angel named Angel. Who would have thought that if you hired the man who wrote Buckaroo Banzai to pen the script for your bio, it might turn out somewhat crazy? Angel takes John to the scene of the overdose, and if you show me John's body one more time, I'm gonna start to think this movie is slightly exploitive, which makes it perfect for my show.
My guitar's in there, my punk tapes.
Also, your body is in there too, apparently. Man, I'd be parched right now as well.
I gotta call Judy. I gotta tell her I'm okay. Order me a cheeseburger with French fries and extra ketchup and a Pepsi Light.
Oh man, if he asked for a Coke first instead of a Pepsi, that would make for a great SNL sketch.
Hey! Does anybody have a quarter? They can't see you, John.
Well, apparently someone saw him because they served him a cheeseburger.
Hey, cheeseburger, 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 cheeseburger!
Well, hey, that's the sketch I just referenced. This must be the part where the cab driver takes him back in time to see Frank Cross as a kid. Or just kick a dead man while he's down.
I just had my birthday. That's right. And you are officially deceased. Why? Because you're stupid. I just follow my dispatch. I gotta go see Judy. When? When you first got married? Or the times you was too fucked up to call home? Or maybe you want to see that time you called her from the Playboy Mansion?
I don't mean this to sound insensitive at all. This isn't even meant to be a joke because I really do love the actor's work, but it's impossible not to see the irony in a scene of Ray Sharkey lecturing John Belushi on drug use and infidelity. So of course a lot of the movie is a mishmash of random flashback sequences. Apparently Dan Aykroyd slept at the foot of their bed like a dog, and whoever cast this must have confused Dan Aykroyd with Kevin Nealon.
So I understand you're spending about $1,000 a week on the white stuff.
Nah, no way.
It's a lot of money, man. It's roughly half the family GNP. I mean, never mind what you're doing to your health, you know?
Hey, what's the matter?
I've seen after-school specials that are more subtle than this. For those going into this movie who don't know who John Belushi is, you will leave it thinking that John Belushi did a lot of drugs and that was his only contribution to the world.
What am I gonna do with money? You're a Mexican. Puerto Rican. Spick's a spick. What do you want? Tires, cologne?
Oh, and that his ghost is kind of racist. At least he's being dropped off at NBC Studios so he can pitch his new sitcom, Lectured by an Angel. But like Saturday Night Live, the movie has random musical numbers, such as this sequence of the Blues Brothers singing a rendition of 6345789, a song that they never sang on stage, but oddly enough was later used in Blues Brothers 2000. It's up to you to decide which is the worst Belushi-related movie to use that song. Watching this sequence, I want so bad for this movie to show more of Belushi's talents, more of his relationships with his friends, his upbringing, his marriage, because Michael Chiklis really nails a lot of this.
Oh, I thought you'd like to know that Elvis and the Colonel are here.
Elvis and the Colonel
are here?
Colonel Sanders? The guy from Hell's Bloody Devils?
Wow! It's him!
Live from New York, baby. It's Saturday night.
Whoa, I was joking when I said Colonel Sanders. Was this supposed to be a Saturday Night Live sketch, confusing Colonel Tom Parker with Colonel Sanders? If so, why wasn't there laughter? The movie wasn't given permission to use any actual Saturday Night Live sketches, which means that they had to come up with their own. Sometimes that's fine, such as the Blues Brothers singing, and the King Bee bit as well. But other times, like this, it's pretty fucking confusing, since why would I recognize this as a sketch? It's not a reenactment of any of them. Obviously, the Guardian Angel bit doesn't actually come from the book, and neither does Bob Woodward actually being a character in the story.
Did you, know him?
No, he graduated in '67, 6 years after me. But Judy says he used to do me.
What? And an even bigger what is that Woodward actually served as an advisor on the film. Ah, yeah, sure, add a Puerto Rican cab driver named Angel. That's what my book was missing. And let's make up a sketch where Belushi plays Bob Woodward opposite the Coneheads.
You, come most carefully upon the hour.
I have a deadline. Long live the king.
Oh, why, thank you. I appreciate that. 'Tis bitter cold, and why, I'm sick at heart.
Wow, I forgot that Beldar was Richard Nixon.
Why, I'll kill that little commie kraut bastard if...
You scratch my hiney, I'll scratch your hiney,
Why did Nixon have to be a Conehead? Just because Aykroyd played both Beldar and Richard Nixon on SNL? This makes no sense! And since so many people refused to have their names used in the movie, I'm guessing this is supposed to be Lorne Michaels, and that this is supposed to be Bernie Brillstein? Aside from Belushi, his widow, Dan Aykroyd, and Kathy Smith, no one else in Belushi's life is depicted in this film, at least by name, so why even fucking make the movie? The only reason I know this is Brillstein is because of the story about John signing his contract right before going on air.
Manage me and I'll sign.
How can I represent somebody with mustard on his contract?
Did John Belushi just breathe hot dogs or something? Oh, here's that other great sketch with Nixon and Roger Ebert. Yes, I know it's supposed to be Kissinger.
Yeah, I remember seeing that on Saturday Night Live.
Thanks, genius. What other show would it be from? Fridays? Any other insight you got?
He had a life pattern of binges, and not just drugs, and everything.
I fucking get it! Finally, 25 minutes in, we see him actually being a human being instead of a two-dimensional portrait of a drug addict.
Anything, I'll do anything. Please, please kiss me. Please, I'll even marry you.
What'd you say?
I don't know, I've never said that before.
Think of how much more effective this film would be if there were more stuff in it like this. No one is saying that you can't show the tragedy in a story about John Belushi, because that would be just flat out dishonest, but when all you're showing is the downfall, that is slightly mean-spirited. Seriously, it spends only a few minutes with John and his wife, and then goes right back into talking about drugs.
There were a lot of late nights with John. Partying, staying out. Keeping him company. We did coke.
Try to keep up with him?
Tried to keep it under control.
So basically that means that this movie is less of a bio and more of an anti-drug film, or a tale of Hollywood excess in the late 70s and early 80s? Okay, fine. Normally I can live with that. I love Less Than Zero. I love Bright Lights, Big City. But maybe lose the scenes of your subject's corpse belching over a donut? And the bizarre SNL reenactments that still come out of nowhere? Seriously, they could be placed anywhere in this film.
I'm hearing too much silver in those buckets. Yeah, I want to hear the crisp rustle of fresh bills. 10s, 20s, you know, and if I don't, why, you're gonna have to deal with my buddy John.
Why was he doing Jimmy Stewart? Here's another moment that could give us a bigger glimpse into Belushi's past, showing John with his former bandmates, the Ravens, but the tone is ruined by Ghost Belushi and Angel fighting on the front lawn. And when did Angel come back? I thought that he disappeared earlier. The movie even tries to one-up its own extremities by not only depicting John's autopsy, but having Angel dance around like a Fred Armisen sketch, and having John be awake.
Get me the hell out of here! I'm cold, it's cold!
Hey, it's a morgue, compadre. What'd you expect?
It gets worse.
I'll begin the incision.
Hi, hello, how are you? Get me the fuck out of here!
Prime placement for a laugh track. The autopsy scene, maybe you should have used that earlier in the film when you were reenacting SNL sketches. And I get it, it's putting a laugh track over moments that are no longer funny, but I cannot fucking imagine being someone who was close to John Belushi and then seeing a movie in which their friend is depicted screaming for help on an autopsy table while a sushi chef cuts their heart out. Yes, when bios are made, some of them come with a slight protest from people who were close to the subject matter. But in this case, yeah, I get it. Why would anyone who knew Belushi want any part of this? Whew, now a performance from the Brothers Blues. Really upsetting thing about this sequence is seeing how good Chiklis is in the role and knowing that behind the scenes the actor was afraid of being blackballed by Hollywood because of his participation in the film. Chiklis even claimed that the movie derailed his career for nearly 2 years before finding success on The Commish and later on with The Shield. Though when you're a 25-year-old actor and your first leading role is to star as one of the most beloved comic actors of all time, who could possibly turn that down? It's not his fault it's a shit movie. Hell, Dan Aykroyd even got actor J.T. Walsh fired from Loose Cannons because of his involvement with Wired. Though an even bigger punishment would have been to just let him stay in Loose Cannons. Speaking of Aykroyd, now he just looks like Hugo Weaving as Agent Smith. I keep thinking that maybe the movie could be re-edited to take out the slapstick and PSA melodrama, because scenes of John being physical as hell on stage spliced in with scenes of him doing drugs to keep him going sort of work, but then they're followed by stuff like this.
I want people to see him as he was. The drugs and more.
But mostly the drugs.
Accidental. What is this, a Saturday Night Live routine?
Yeah, remember that hilarious SNL sketch with the guy who accidentally overdoses on drugs? But I do remember Belushi played Brando on SNL, so let's incorporate that into his autopsy.
I could have been somebody. I could have been a contender. Instead of a bum, which is what I am, let's face it.
Get it? Because if he didn't die, he could have gone on to do more things. Even the flashback to John's comedy training is as subtle as diarrhea shits.
Make them laugh till it hurts. Fuck them where they breathe. Make them laugh. Make them laugh till it hurts. Make them laugh till they piss their goddamn pants. Make them laugh till they have a fucking hemorrhage.
What we're saying is, we want you to kill yourself making people laugh, John. Just like in this made-up samurai baseball sketch.
And look, he's bowing to the sensational Mets pitcher, Phil Acio.
Phil Acio?
Now he's just pulled a hot dog out of his kimono. Oh, look at the size of that wiener. That's the biggest wiener I've ever seen.
Oh, the wiener's like a dick. Hell, if you don't know who Kathy Smith is, you'd probably be thinking to yourself, why is Gilda Radner shooting up Belushi? And is this now Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas?
Sounded like you were snorkeling back there.
Yeah.
Too many packs of cigarettes.
Yeah.
Maybe it was those cactus buttons you picked when we got out to piss. Now, didn't I warn you to leave them alone? Try to watch out for you, pal. Hallucinogens are very dangerous substances.
Hey, how far to Vegas?
Michael Chiklis went through years' worth of auditions, being called back about 57 times to read for dozens of people, before eventually being cast as John Belushi out of about 200 contestants. Gary Grooms as Dan Aykroyd feels like he was cast in 5 minutes. But at least we get some sweet banter.
You're a jerk. Thanks a lot. You know, you were not only sleeping back there, you were farting incessantly, okay? It's not real... Oh, thanks. Thanks again. I really appreciate this shit.
Ooh, save the fart jokes for the post-mortem scenes. That's where the slapstick is. Kathy Smith, the drug dealer slash groupie, is brought in for questioning, while Bob Woodward is serving as police captain on the case? What?
I mean, no real questions about the source of drugs, the suppliers. Don't you care?
He's just another fat junkie who went belly up.
Fucking tell us how you really feel. But this Kathy Smith sequence is well acted, it's well shot, and brutally honest in its portrayal of a heroin junkie. And guess what the follow-up scene is?
Hey, that's Arnie! That's my manager, Arnie Fromson. And he's with Woodward, Bob fucking Woodward!
Ghost John and Angel yelling at Bob Woodward in the next car over.
He gonna do for you what he did for Nixon.
Nixon? Gonna call the book Wired. Gonna trash your good name, Hemo, from here to... I'm fucked.
And that's just talking about the book. You don't even want to tell them what the movie will be like. Another thing that sort of works if you take out the slapstick is the impending aura of gloom and doom when you see this almost zombie-like, darkly lit audience laughing in unison at a muted reenactment from Animal House. And again, John being incredibly blasé about the drugs he takes in order to keep up his strength. But it's a little repetitive when it's nothing more than people yelling at him about the dangers of drugs.
You're killing yourself. Don't do this to me, John. Don't do this to Judy. Don't do this to yourself.
Plus, I had no idea that the unnamed John Landis was a dead ringer for a sleazy Miami Vice pornographer.
My God, I just punched the star of my movie.
Now that's directing. And why are the non-comedic moments funnier than the actual comedic moments?
When there was idle time, John would go get drugs, 3 pizzas, a blowjob, or a nap.
Pizzas weren't the problem, though, were they?
In a sentence that also contains the word drugs, yeah, I don't think pizzas are the problem, Bob. At least despite the drugs, it seems John was easy to work with.
We are losing the light.
Fuck you! I'm not ready! Get the fuck out of here or I'll kill you!
I was the same way on the set of To Boldly Flee. They wanted a raging Hollywood Coke party, so they got one. While John may be a little weirded out seeing his hearse drive right by him, think of how he'd feel seeing this.
All right, left. Hang on. Push it in. You gotta turn it around. All right, go clockwise, guys. No, don't go clockwise. Go this way. Go clockwise. Go clockwise. Which way's clockwise? That's it. All right.
Oh my God! I got a cramp in my back!
Why not just get Chuck Lorre to write the script if you wanted to turn it into a shitty sitcom?
Holy shit, so what do we do? What's next?
Take him out of the coffin.
My God, you know who this is? This is John Belushi.
He still won't fit.
Better yet, why not get Jonathan Silverman and Andrew McCarthy in here to carry the corpse around on a beach for a couple of days? What, are you serious? Are you fucking serious? I was kidding.
Arnie? Arnie? Arnie!
Again, I'm not exactly sure this is how the story happened. Bob Woodward again keeps asking people about drug abuse, but whatever, let's go back to the plane.
You're really pissing me off, Arnie. I'm getting off this plane, Arnie, and I'm getting off right now.
This is even too sucky for a late 90s SNL sketch. And what should be an important scene of Dan Aykroyd talking about his friend is interrupted by...
Probably Chuck.
Hey, Dan!
Massive.
Because at this point, why wouldn't that have happened? Hell, even when we do see Aykroyd and Belushi together, it's still nothing but death foreshadowing.
You know, if you had to die on a day like today, this is the kind of music to go out with. Can you imagine laying this tune on a church full of grief-stricken people?
Or better yet, show him a movie where John's corpse crashes through the roof of a building and curses out his biographer.
I'll get you, Woodward, if it's the last thing I ever do!
Wait a minute, I know this house. Either Bob Woodward is asking more questions about drugs, or he's warning them of an impending dog attack. Nope, it's about drugs.
You can't abuse yourself like this.
Look, I don't pay you to be my best friend. I don't ask you what you do after 6 o'clock. Don't ask me!
This movie takes 112 minutes to tell us what Mr. Mackey says in 2 seconds.
Because drugs are bad, okay?
Only with a little extra cheese.
Nobody tells me what to do!
Can't tell me not to love you. I'm not talking about business now, John. I'm talking about your life.
Is this a Belushi bio or a special episode of Family Ties? Even the sequence of John laying off drugs during the making of Continental Divide can't go without being extreme. Not only does an extra from Class of Nukem High offer John drugs, but again, I feel I should add Animal House music to it.
Hey, baby, won't you take a chance? Say that you'll let me have this dance. So listen. Oh, listen. Go to the twist, the stomp, the mashed potato too. Any old dance that you wanna do. But listen. Oh, listen.
And in a movie where John's ghost is being led around by a guardian angel lecturing him about drugs, I don't know why it feels it still needs to foreshadow that he died. Even all of that aside, the movie has zero structure to speak of. It jumps around so many goddamn times that what happens 90 minutes in could have easily happened 10 minutes in. In fact, some sequences should have happened earlier. Maybe this introduction to Kathy Smith and how she met John should have come an hour ago when we first saw her. Oh, sorry, I'm too busy being confused by the random appearance of an actor playing Don Novello.
I'm writing a screenplay called Noble Rot with my co-writer, co-screenwriter Tom Perino. You might have heard of him from Saturday Night Live.
Oh, my mistake. They couldn't use Don's real name, so that just leaves the audience to scratch their heads and say, who? And since they're tired of making up SNL sketches, why not just reenact earlier sequences from the film?
First of all, do you smoke?
3 packs a day.
Uh-huh. Terrible habit, believe me, terrible habit. Tootski?
Oh, it's my main habit. I snort daily.
Uh-huh. Anything else I should know about? Anything I shouldn't know about?
It's true, though. I knew that earlier scene would be hilarious if they just simply added a Groucho Marx impression. Needless to say, the last act of the movie mostly takes place in John's death room.
This is where he died.
Okay, creepy.
Here's the bathroom, the kitchen, and this is the living room.
I'm sorry, are you selling him the place now? This should definitely be the most disturbing sequence in the film, but why the fuck is it spliced in with John and Angel having a competition on a Blues Brothers pinball machine, where if John wins, he gets to go home? And holy crap, if Bob Woodward was there the entire time, why didn't he put a stop to this? But there are some really moody shots here that feel like something straight out of Sid and Nancy. Then the movie has to remind itself that it really is nothing more than a glorified after-school special.
Why the drugs, John? Why the needle? That's what I need to understand.
He's interviewing John's dying body. What the fuck? It is kind of hard to get mad at the tonal shifts here when both sides are written so fucking stupid.
No! You gotta go and write all this negative shit!
Judy said that you were afraid of needles, that you hated them. If you hated them so much, what were you doing sticking them in your arm? Huh, John? Come on now, answer me now.
Remember the deal, Max?
Puerto Rican.
All right, hubcaps.
I didn't re-edit that. That is how the pinball shit is spliced into the movie. I've heard of movies putting words in their subjects' mouths, but not when they lay dying for symbolic purposes.
What was so painful that you couldn't even close your eyes at night without drugs?
I had an unhappy childhood.
Oh, sorry, is that on the record or off?
Society fucked me over like Lenny Bruce.
Like Lenny Bruce? You were a living legend, John. Your friend Aykroyd called you America's guest. Everybody loved you.
Good job, movie. You're lecturing a man who is dead. One question I have, though, is how would this movie have ended if Ghost Belushi had won the pinball contest? Would he have been brought back to life at the end of the movie? Wouldn't be any more fucking unbelievable than the rest of this shit.
I can't breathe. Breathe for me, Woodward.
I'm gonna have to check my sources, but I don't think that John Belushi's dying words were "breathe for me, Woodward." Maybe that's the movie's way of telling us that John gave his blessing on this biography, seconds before he died. The movie ends with John as Joe Cocker singing a rendition of You Are So Beautiful, but he acts slightly more like the handyman character from In Living Color. Again, this is a scene that could have gone anywhere in the film. There aren't enough what the fuck Hollywoods in the world to convey the emotions after sitting through this movie. Of course, what do you expect out of a movie whose tagline is, "For John Belushi, every night was Saturday night"? As a bio, the movie doesn't work because it tells you nothing about John Belushi other than the fact that he did drugs. As a movie about drug abuse, it doesn't work because what should have been powerful sequences are ruined by inappropriate moments of slapstick. The only thing that does work is Michael Chiklis. Hell, his performance here is so good that the movie almost should be seen just to witness Chiklis acting the unholy fuck out of this really shit material. Recently, another Belushi bio was announced, with actor Emil Hirsch in the lead role as Belushi. Yeah, but who are they gonna get to play Angel the cab driver? That's what I really want to know. Wired was both a critical and commercial disaster, and to this date has never been released on DVD, and only had a brief life on VHS. Aykroyd was quoted as putting a hex on the film, while Michael Ovitz was accused of using his influence to scare away distributors of the film. And after finally securing distribution, the movie died a quiet death, grossing $1 million at the box office. Typical Hollywood bigwigs, always getting together to sabotage quality films from seeing the light of day because they're too scared of its subject matter and its independent financing. Or maybe it's because it's a terrible goddamn movie and a biography so crass that it makes the Babe Ruth story look like Raging Bull.
Hey, this is for Vegas!